How's it going, YouTube? What's up, guys? I'm Zirkzank. I'm making a video because I can't sleep, and I figured I might as well do something with the energy that I've got. And I wouldn't necessarily call it energy. I don't have any energy. I'm actually really quite tired, but I can't sleep, and I think that that might be due to stress. And now listen, I know YouTube is not a therapist. You, as a viewer, deserve to be entertained. So let me entertain you by giving you some first world problems that I think anyone else in my situation would probably be reacting with in a similar way. If not, they're probably better equipped than I am. So first of all, I'm struggling to sleep because I don't have a reasonable schedule. And I don't have a reasonable schedule because, for whatever reason, I've just been struggling to get to sleep when I would go to bed at like a reasonable time. I would say, between 10 o'clock to 1 a.m., but trying to keep it closer to like 11:30 to midnight. That's about a reasonable time to wake up at 8 o'clock and have 8 hours sleep. I've tried getting 8 hours sleep, and I've tried getting 9 hours sleep, I've tried getting 10 hours sleep, different periods of time for different cycles, and trying with alarms or without alarms. And I don't think that getting the right amount of sleep has helped much. I've also been having back pains, as in my back, as in my spine, hurting. I'm not sure what's up with that. But that causes general discomfort, so it makes it harder to sleep, and it makes me more stressed most of the time. I don't have here any job or education. Now, I don't know if you're a follower of Zirkzank Says, but if you are, then you would know that prior to my current situation now, where I'm living back at home, as in the house that is my mum's house that my mum rents. So I'm not paying rent. Well, I'm paying rent to my mum, but I'm not paying for my. I'm not the tenant basically, but I do pay for it. So yeah, I was at university prior to this, where I had to buy my own food, go out to the store, buy food, clean anything that was my own responsibility to clean. And I was a student at university, which meant that I had to go in and do work and get assignments done. And in return for that, I suppose I was getting education, if you could call it that. I would argue that I didn't get educated, but I was still a student getting an education, and I got money loaned to me from the government in order to do that. So that was kind of like a cycle of, as long as I stay a productive enough student to not get kicked off the course, then I get the stuff given to me. Still have to go about my daily life, do my laundry, wash my dishes, clean my room, and just make sure that the house isn't a mess, and so on, stay alive. That was pretty straightforward, and I quite enjoyed that. But now I'm back here, and it's very different because it's basically I've lost all my income, lost all my independence. No income, no independence, no friends here, no relationship, obviously. Why would I be able to have that in life? And basically no family, because there's my mum and my brother. My mum works stupid times because it's the only way that she can get an income, so she's working night shifts, and then sleeping during the day. So I never get to see her. My brother, I wouldn't call him family because he's I'm in a situation where it's very difficult for me to call him a brother. I have, like, I would say the most shared DNA with him being that we have the same parents. Me and him should have like the closest DNA, I believe. He's my biological brother, but he's not really a brother to me. I would say he's almost, if he was a fictional character, he'd be a villain. That's the way I see it, basically. He's not a nice person. Very unpleasant. I know that's rude, disrespectful, and all of that to just diss somebody on a YouTube video, but I feel like he deserves that. And he needs to get his act together, definitely, but, well, what can I do about that? I told him, I tried to talk to him. I said to him, you should be a little bit nicer to your mother. She works really hard to provide for you, even though you just sit around doing nothing, playing games all day. And he said he doesn't care. She belongs in a mental institute. He doesn't have any respect for the fact that she cares for him like he matters, like he's a significant human being. She sort of treats him that way, and he has no requited respect for that, which I find to be very difficult to deal with. It's an interesting, weird scenario where he thinks that she's in the wrong for asking him to pull his weight around the house, when to me it seems like he does nothing. He's not in education, he's not in work. He's 18, so he really should be doing something, but he isn't, and he hasn't been doing that for 6 months. He's been sitting around playing video games, in his room for 6 months, while she's working long hours to support that lifestyle of his, because she doesn't want him to starve. And the entire time, he's having his friends come over for drinking and parties, and having his girlfriend stay over, who uses our food, our gas and electricity and water. And my mum says to him, this is costing me too much, I can't take it, you need it to stop. And so he sees her as a villain because of that, even though she hasn't actually made it stop, because how can she? Why would she? It doesn't make sense. So yeah, I don't have any job either. I'm in a situation same as that, but I've got some form of a bit of money left over from my student money, because unlike most students, I didn't spend all of it on alcohol, only some of it. But that won't last forever, and I'm coming to realize now that finding work is a lot more difficult than I thought, because it's not just a case of applying for jobs and then going to interviews, because so far I've applied for a bunch of jobs, I think, and had not had any interviews, because I really don't know what I'm doing when it comes to finding jobs. I didn't think that it would be this difficult. I kind of thought that I would just be going to these job websites and then clicking apply and then waiting for a response, but it's like I don't even know what jobs to look for. I've tried to look for jobs that are in relevance to the degree that I've studied, that is games development jobs. There aren't really any here in Hull. Why would you set up a games development team in Hull? You wouldn't. So then I look in a more broader sense, IT related, because I can do computer stuff, I can do Photoshop, and that spans such a broad scope of things: editing, photography, graphic design, web design, marketing. it's a really broad scope of stuff you can do with Photoshop, and that's just one thing. Stretch that to basically anything in IT. I can build a computer, do maintenance. I can do all of this stuff, but because my degree is in games development, it doesn't really say on the tin that I can do the other stuff. So it's that I have to say as an extra, oh yeah, I can do all of that stuff. But the thing is, I don't know what the names of the jobs are that require that. You say, well, you can Google it. But then when I Google it, it's different to what it says on the websites that list jobs. And on the websites that list jobs, they only list jobs that have been listed on that website by the company that puts them on there. So, for example, you wouldn't see a listing for McDonald's on there, because the McDonald's job, if you wanted a job at McDonald's, you go directly to a McDonald's, or you go onto the website for McDonald's and you apply to there, Burger King or whatever. So then it makes me think, do I have to go to individual websites of every possible chain and then apply to all of them? I was like, that seems like that's something I would have to do. But in conjunction with that, I'm recommended to join a bunch of job listing websites like Monster and Indeed. That's what I've been told. And then there also are agencies, which are kind of the same as the other one, as far as I can see. You just put on your skills on there. See, the way I thought it would work is that you put your skills, as in the stuff that you can do. You put a list of everything you can do, and where you work, where you want to work, the city, the location, and then you would get matched with jobs that are relevant to what you can do. But it doesn't work like that. As far as I can tell, on these websites, you just have to go and search through all of the listings to find a job that might be something that you can do. So I think that that's a really bad system. Like, the system for finding jobs is just really bad. I'm not saying it's bad just because I can't do it, but that is one reason why it is bad. The fact that I can't do it shows that it's bad, or that it's not as optimal as it could be. It should be more like what I expected it to be, which is you put your skills and location on there, and then you just get matched with jobs, and then you apply based on those matches. Whereas for me, it's not doing that. It's saying, and here's another thing, they ask you on all of these job websites to put in a desired role. Well, as much as I have desired roles, like games designer, or writer, director, for example, these kind of roles are just too, I would say, I don't want to say ambitious, because it's like I can do the thing, but you need more credibility to go and join a studio with those things. So it's like, yeah, sure, fair enough. But I don't know what the role would be for somebody who stacks shelves in a store, or packs things into boxes in a factory. I don't know what the name of those jobs would be. Would it be like packer? Or stacker? Because it could be anything. I want there to be a category of just shitty, unskilled crap work, and then just get matched with that, so I could at least do that, or do something that could actually put my skills towards, which would be nicer, because I feel like I do have skills that would be useful to companies, but even still, I just seem to not be able to find any job whatsoever. And now that leads to a lot of stress, because it's just everyday uncertainty. What am I going to be doing tomorrow? What am I going to be doing in a week's time? What am I going to be doing in a month's time? Well, back when I was a student, I kind of knew that I would wake up the next day being a student, and just having the university responsibilities. Whereas now it's like, in a month's time, I could be doing a job, or I could be not. And either one of those is shit, and it's chaotic. And then if I do get a job, what job will it be? What will I actually get accepted to do? That's just so much stuff to be thinking about, and it's quite stressful because, you know, it could be anything. I mean, it won't be anything. It'll be, I don't know what it'll be, and not knowing is sort of driving me quite crazy, because I like to know what's happening, at least in some vague sense, you know, like, oh, I'll be doing this at this time, I'll be doing this next week, I'll be doing this next month, but I just don't know anymore, and that's quite shit. And now, being here, moving to a city that is 90 miles away from where I was before, where I was for the last 5 years of my life, I don't have any friends here. I mean, I know like 3 people in the city, but they're not my friends, as in like the group that I hang out with when I was in university, or anyone who lives in that city where I was for the last 5 years. They're people that I know, but I don't speak to them, basically. So they're my friends on Facebook, but not, you know, close friends or anything. So I wouldn't say I have friends here. And it is important to point out that, of course, with the internet, you can still be in contact with people, but when they're not in your immediate proximity, and there's no likelihood that they will be, it kind of just, it breaks the attachment, and you very much lose out a lot on that social connection and the social bond. It kind of just breaks apart. It loses all significance. So, for example, every project that I ever said I would make with anyone, they were all in Nottingham, which is 90 miles away from where I am now. I don't know what that is in kilometers. If you want to know what it is in kilometers, Google it. So yeah, I'd started a bunch of projects with them, you know, games projects, whatever. In fact, that's what I've done with everyone forever, basically. We just start projects and never finish them. It's like every single friend I've ever had, we've said, hey, let's do this. Yeah, that's great. I'd love to do that. We both really, or the group of us are all really into it, and then it kind of just stops. But now that's kind of stopped in the most extreme possible way, where I'm just completely detached from it now. I mean, we can still do stuff over the internet, but there's even less motivation to get stuff done when you're over the internet. So no one's gonna get any projects done. I mean, especially if they're in the same situation as me now, where they're trying to find work and they're just as stressed out. You know, the last thing you want is some shitty project on the side that you're failing at because you're just failing at everything in general. The one thing that I do need to mention, though, is that I think just about everyone I know has got either a very, very close friends in their proximity that they spend time with and kind of alleviate that sort of negativity in life by knowing that there's more to life than suffering, because they have their friends around them, they have fun still, or they have a relationship, or both. You know, they have friends and a relationship. I'd say like almost everyone I know has friends and a relationship. And the people who don't just have depression. So I think I might be on the way to getting some form of depression, probably, if I don't already have that. So it seems to be a bad situation, you know, not being able to sleep, being in pain all the time, like physical pain. My skin's drying out. Well, like my fingers, the skin on my hands is starting to peel away, whilst at the same time I'm getting massive breakouts of acne. I don't know if you can see this shit because I've got good lighting for once, But I don't know. It's not a nice time, and I'm not really sure what to do with it, and I'm not sure what's going to happen in my future. I know that it could be worse. Like I say always, be grateful for what you have. I'm living in a house. I can go to bed and lay on a comfy mattress. I don't have to starve. I've always got my trusty Huel, and I never need to go thirsty because I've always got some water to drink. And if it rains, I'll be dry because there's a roof above my head. But I'm in a situation where I'm kind of pressured to be getting stuff done and being useful, but not actually getting anywhere with it. So I feel like I'm stuck, and I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I'm failing a lot, and I'm being rejected a lot. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I mean, my dissertation for university, my final assignment, that was rejected as being failure. So I had to resit that. I'll go into more detail about that at some point because you might be interested in what my dissertation was about. Do a video about dissertation. Dissertation rejected. My entire job searching scenario now is being just getting rejected by everything I've applied for. So that's not fun. And then getting rejected by anyone who I've ever asked if they want to do a project with. I wouldn't necessarily call this rejection, but I would call this people avoiding an opportunity or avoiding wanting to do something. So I'll call saying no a form of rejection. So people not wanting to work on anything. That would be like making YouTube videos about something, doing a podcast, making video games, making music. Anyone I've ever approached that are my friends who have always said, hey, let's work on this together. It could be really good. We could both make money from it. We as a team could make money from this. We could have fun working on something together. It doesn't have to be about money, but it helps you to get by. Money does. If money was no object, I would still be asking people, hey, do you want to work on this? Because I still want to create stuff, but none of my friends do. So get rejected by them, rejected by university, rejected by employers, rejected by friends, and rejected by, I would say, family as well. I mean, not my mum, because she's nice, and I wouldn't say I'm rejected directly by any family members in general, but I don't have a close connection with any family, so they might as well be non-existent. What about relationships? Well, if you've been watching Zirkzank Says for any extended period of time, you would know that I have a 100% rejection rate with girls. That was a joke about the word girls, but yeah. So on every possible front where it's possible to be rejected, that's all I'm facing. And it puts me in a situation where I need to think, what am I doing wrong? What can I change about myself? And how can I go right instead? Because obviously I don't want to keep failing. That's clear, because look at the situation I'm in, where I am failing and being rejected all the time. It's clearly not a good situation, and I clearly need to do something about it. But I'm not sure what to do, which is why I decided I would make a video. That was the introduction, 25-minute introduction. And this might even just be part 1. I don't know. I'll take a drink, and then we'll see. So yeah, I'm in a bit of a pickle. I think pointing it out is a great place to start from, just put it out there on the table and say, I know things aren't well, but I could do something to change them. But I have to do things in a lot of different areas, I would say. Cleaning my room isn't one thing, at least. I've got a nicely cleaned room. But, yeah, as far as work goes, I think maybe, I don't know, apply more to more places. That's the plan with that. Ask people more. Ask my friends. Hey, do you want to do some more stuff? See what, get some projects done. Ask more girls to go on dates. I don't even think that I'm in a position where I should be able to do any of those things, really. Like, I can understand why I could understand why somebody wouldn't want to date me now, given my current situation, but I know people around me who are in worse situations who still don't struggle. This is something that I've always found to be pretty confusing and pretty perplexing in regards to relationships in general, which is that even though the idea is that people are attracted to stuff like competence and attractiveness, charm, sense of humor, those generic things that people kind of assume to be true, it's like I could still be in a situation where I can point to numerous people and say, well, look, this person's obese and unemployed and just an all-around unpleasant person, but they're in a relationship. You can point to the worst of the worst people and they'll still have I could point to, pointing at people isn't a great way to prove a point, but you get what I'm saying, where it's like I'm not that bad, but I'm still not able to get anything. It's like the people around me don't seem to struggle at all, and so they're surprised that I am, or they just think it's weird that I'm struggling. And I say, like, well, what do you do? What are you doing differently to me? I don't know. It's a weird situation, I can tell you. But I don't want to continue like this, because if I continue like this, I'll just die. Which might not be such a bad thing, to be honest. I wouldn't mind dying. But at the same time, I really don't want to die. It's weird. I'm in a sort of, I would call it an existential crisis, but it's more like a constant changing of minds, where half the time I think everything that happens is important and that life has meaning, and like I really care about humanity. I really want the best for the human race, and I really want to, to contribute and spread, to be entertaining, to create something that is useful for people. I want to, have a family and be a, what would you call it? Be a functional member of society. Spread my genes and be just normal. I would say do what everyone else is been doing. You know, do what my parents and everyone back in my entire lineage has done, which is to have kids and be part of society. Then the other half of the time I'm thinking like, you know what? Nothing matters at all. Fuck it. You know, nothing matters. Nothing matters. You know, and it's a real struggle because the real destructive, impulsive desires call out to me, and it's like, hey, you know, nothing matters, so just fucking do whatever, have fun, you know, life's a joke, you know, just do whatever and then die, and then hey, everything's fine. But with that attitude, it's like that can bring optimism, but it can also bring pessimism. But on the other hand, if you think, well, everything matters, everything's really important, you setting yourself an ideal, and then you're comparing yourself with the ideal, and then when you don't meet that ideal, you just realize how much of a failure you are, and that's depressing. So then you go back to this and you say, well, nothing matters, so it doesn't matter that I'm a failure. I can just live my life and have fun and do whatever. And you know, that's a great coping mechanism, but it just leads to a point of nihilism where it's like, well, if nothing matters, why does having fun even matter? Well, I'm still suffering, so the fun isn't outweighing anything. I wouldn't even say that it's fun. So you go back to this. I want meaning. Okay, got meaning, but I'm suffering, and I don't think it's justified because I don't have any of the things that are necessary to prop it up, you know, to keep the balance, to make it worthwhile. So then, you know, it's a constant battle of things matter or things don't matter. And I'm still struggling to see how to act in response to that. I know that I could just do something along the lines of, on paper, it seems, you know, stop complaining, get a job, just go to sleep and wake up on schedule, cut out all your bad habits, like playing video games, browsing the internet, looking at porn, masturbating, just anything that isn't helping you get further in life, stop doing it, and replace the time that you would spend doing that, doing other things. Alright, well, it's like, if none of your friends want to help you in any way, make new friends, because you can offer help to those people, and they can offer help to you, and you can actually, you know, have like a proper friendship with people. Just fix all of those things on paper. Seems fine, like, right? Seems like, oh yeah, I can just do all of that stuff. And why don't you? It's like, well, it really isn't easy. I was like, okay, well, the fact that it's hard means that you might be onto something. It might matter that it's hard. You know, the stuff that needs to be done isn't easy. Say, alright, well that's true, fair enough. But it doesn't, just knowing that it's hard doesn't make it instantly be something that I can see being doable and then know how to do it and then have the, what do you say, the drive and the it's not drive because I have got drive, it's opportunity. I just don't have the opportunities to do any of that. It's like everything that I want to do relies on opportunity. So like getting a job, relies on the opportunity of an employer giving me an opportunity to work. And you say, well, you're putting the responsibility onto them to take it away from yourself. But it is on them whether they employ me or not. It's like, sure, I've done and am doing my part of it, which is putting myself forwards with my qualifications and being whatever I am to that capacity. And I would say that applies in exactly the same to like relationships and dating on like Tinder and those kind of places where it's like the same scenario really. You know, looking for work is like looking for a relationship. I only just clicked in my mind. It's just constant rejection and reminders of your inadequacy. And it's like Jordan Peterson says, it's like, yeah, well, that's good because you get to learn what's wrong and then you can change it and improve. But it's like, well, hang on a second. I'm not able to learn. I'm very vigilant and I'm very good at spotting patterns, but I don't see any pattern in the rejection, as in like, well, you're doing this wrong and you're doing this wrong, so change it. It's like, well, I fucking would. I would, in the snap of fingers, I would change whatever it is I'm doing wrong if it was apparent, but it's not, so I can't change it. And it's not like I'm not trying, because I am trying. Otherwise, I wouldn't be so disheartened about it, If I wasn't trying, but I expected the results, that would be kind of shit. It's like, well, you can't just put zero effort in and then expect results. That's kind of arrogant. That's kind of stupid. That's kind of naive. It's like, I'm putting in results. I'm putting in effort and not getting results. So it's a different situation where I'm trying to find the commonalities in where the problems lie, but with jobs it's kind of just like, we don't need you, and so I can't gauge much from that. And then with regards to relationships, it's kind of just like, well, girls, on Tinder, there are different types of scenarios on there, which is girls who just match with you and then don't speak, which is fair enough. Don't understand the mentality behind that. Maybe they just want a long list of guys to they just want to see how attractive they are, so they go on Tinder and then it's like, oh yes, the number of guys I match with equates to how attractive I am, or something like that. They don't want to talk to anyone on there. Or there are people who you talk to, you have a nice conversation, but then it just stops because there was no powerful chemical reaction in there, so it just stops early because neither of you can be bothered to pursue something that doesn't have an instant fire to it, which is understandable. I mean, it's speed dating, it's fast. You want to hit the big things very fast, because if you're a girl on Tinder, you probably got infinite matches to contend to deal with. You don't have to if a conversation isn't the best conversation you've ever had, you can just ignore it and then talk to the next guy. Whereas for guys talking to girls, it's like, well, for me at least, I feel very lucky anytime I even get a match, because that's like, hey, that's one opportunity to talk to somebody, to talk to a girl on here and then say stuff. But even then, you say stuff, there's either no response, like I said, or talk to for a bit, but then they just get bored, or, you know, the problem I find is that the second type of girls, they're not putting in any effort, and then I'm like, well, you're really boring to talk to if you're not putting in any effort, so I'm not going to put in any effort either. And then it's like, right, both people aren't putting in any effort. No surprise that it doesn't go anywhere, so screw that. Then you get on to the third type, and this is the bit that confuses me the most. The third type on that list of three, the third type, which is girls who are enthusiastic and their things are going really great, and they seem really into you, but then all of a sudden that just stops for no reason. So fuck those girls. If you're someone who does that, fuck you. And now that's my approach to that. Now with employers, I still haven't even got to a stage where I get to go to an interview. Prior to this, in the world of academia, if you could even call it that, school, it's like, oh, you apply for school and then you start on the next academic year. No difficulty, no rejection there. You apply and then you go and it starts. College, similar process. You go to the college, they do an interview, and they tell you, you can start when the next year starts. So you had grade requirements. Like back in school, you didn't have grade requirements to go to school. You just went to school. But at college, you have requirements. So you have to meet the requirements. Then you go to an interview if you meet the requirements. And then they decide whether to put you on the course. And most of the time they will, because it's the next step and everyone has to go through it and they get money if you go to the place. Same thing happens with university. Higher grade standards. But you already got it from going to college, so you go to university. Then out in the real world, as I like to call it, as everyone calls it, both worlds were real. It's not like you've just stepped out of a fancy world into the real world. You've been living in the real world the entire time. So it's not just, oh, I'm in the real world now. You've always been in the real world. You just never had to be in a situation where people weren't benefiting just from having you. So even back when you were in university was, you were paying to be there rather than them paying to have you there. So that's the difference between an employer and an education place. The education place gets paid to have you, whereas an employer pays to have you. So it costs them rather than earns them. Now, if you're a good employee, you will earn them more than you cost them. But they don't want to take that risk with just anyone. They don't want to take any risks at all. In fact, they want to get somebody who's been doing that job for 10 years or 5 years that can just go into that company and be immediately useful and take no risk whatsoever and just not have to worry about it. And I can understand that, but it's just put me in a really shitty situation, and it makes me start to understand why people call for, like, I can understand why people call for socialist practices to be put in. Like, I still disagree with them very, very much, but I can see where the desire comes from. The desire of the people just thinking, like, I really don't have any money. I really wish that I could get some from somewhere. And they think that the answer to that is government handouts. I obviously think that just expecting constant free money all the time is not a great. It's unethical, and it's very childish. And so, considering that's all I've done for the past 22 years of my life anyway, I want to try and, give back and do something useful and work. But now I'm in that situation where I'm able to work, I'm free, I'm not in university anymore, and I've got stuff to offer and to give back. But no employers want me to do anything for them. So, it's like, it makes sense why young people who are in my position are trying to push for socialist policies in government, and why they're voting in UK, voting for Jeremy Corbyn, because they are in a situation where, like me, where they want to work but they can't. Or maybe they don't want to work. Maybe they are just fucking lazy and they just want the free money and they've not even tried to work. But I've tried and I'm trying, and it's still not getting anywhere. So, it's like, yeah, fuck it. If they can give me free money, then do it. It's kind of just like, it's like a last resort, in my opinion. The mentality. I still wish that it wasn't available, and that there was more requirement of, just more jobs than there are people to do it. That would be a nice world to live in, because then first of all, you'd actually be able to choose where you worked. It would be competitive, right? So then the wages would be higher than they are. The companies would do better, because the people working there would be not just just putting a shitty effort in to get the minimum wage, and so on. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to be blaming society. I need to look for answers within myself. Let me look within myself. Can't find anything. There was nothing there. I'll try again. Nope, nothing still. So yeah. That's my stance on things. Can't get a job. Can't get laid. Don't have any friends. No one wants to do anything with me. Can't sleep. My back hurts. So yeah. If I seem like I'm in a bit of a bad mood when I make a video and it's like, hey Zirkzank, you're not your usual cheery self talking about killing yourself. What's the deal? Well, I don't know. I honestly, no idea. If I seem stressed, could be anything really. I just don't know. If you're wondering why it's like 6 a.m. and you're just sat at your computer talking to a webcam, yeah. I mean, that's just a normal thing, isn't it? Isn't that what people do? I thought that's what people did. Whoops. Is that why I can't get a job? Because I'm making YouTube videos at 6 in the morning? Could be. It's probably not. But, yeah, maybe if every video I make gets me a few pennies of AdSense revenue, if I just make hundreds of thousands of videos, I can get hundreds of thousands of pennies, then I won't be struggling anymore. Then I'll actually have like £100. So that's something I can think about, making more YouTube videos on the internet that I've got here. Oh yeah, fuck back pain. The worst pain of all is my upload speed here being 90 kilobytes a second. Let's call it 100 kilobytes a second, so then it takes 10 seconds. That takes 10 seconds to upload a megabyte, or 100 seconds to upload 10 megabytes, and I don't know if you know this, but 10 megabytes is a very small amount of data. These videos are about 500 megabytes, and that's even with them being small compressed videos like this. So that takes a lot of time to upload, and then it's not just the upload, it's the download speeds are so slow as well. So can't use voice comms. If my brother's also using voice comms, Discord, 64 kilobytes. If we're both on a 64 kilobyte server, that's 128 kilobytes of data being uploaded, but we can only upload 100 kilobytes, so the extra data just gets buffered, which causes lag, which causes the data to just get lost, or for us to disconnect from games. So that's no fun. Then downloading takes about 20 times longer to download something here. Say if I wanted to watch a movie, which I shouldn't be doing obviously, because I should be spending every single second I'm awake either creating or looking for work, should not be watching movies at all. But I did. I recently watched Machete and Machete Kills. Those are some really good movies. I would recommend those. Really funny, good action movies. But don't watch movies, 'cause it's bad for you. Don't masturbate either. Don't look at porn, don't masturbate, don't play games, don't have fun. I don't know. I'm trying to distract myself from the shittiness that's going on, I think. Because if I wasn't, then I would be just taking the full force of it. And if I took the full force of it, then I would not be happy. And you could say, well, happiness doesn't matter. But it's like, being happy, or at least not just having misery, does make it a little bit, it gives you something to justify your reason to being alive with. So you could say, like, even though things aren't great, at least the Machete movies were fun. So it's like, oh, well, I'm not having a fun time, but at least you can look at something that positive and think, like, hey, well, at least getting to level 110 on World of Warcraft was an achievement. Maybe I can't get a job. Maybe I can't get a girlfriend, but at least I can get to level 110, right? It's that kind of balance. It's like, obviously, getting to level 110 is fucking nothing. It takes no effort, And even when you do it, it's not like, ooh, congratulations, well done. It's like, yeah, you did it. Everyone else has done it. But I don't know. Distractions. That's what I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to distract from ending the video, and really, I should end it, because the longer it goes on, the more upload it is, and they can also disconnect. So sometimes if I'm uploading and anything goes on with the internet at all, the whole video upload just cancels. Says, oops, sorry, there was an error. The upload speeds were too slow, we're just going to cancel your upload. So I have to try again. But yeah, that's it for this super special, exciting episode of Zirkzank Says. See you in the next one. Hopefully by then I'll have thought of something more positive to say, but yeah, if you're into that kind of drama, you're into this kind of vlogging, you're into other people's suffering as entertainment, especially first world suffering. Like I tell you, I'm not starving, or my town isn't being torn to pieces by terrorism and war. I'm just having a bad time, and that's fucking trivial. But I have got that perspective, but I'm just saying that it is unfortunate to be in this situation where people are expecting more. I'm even expecting more of myself, obviously. So I'm expecting of me, and other people are expecting it of you. But it's not happening. So it's the expectations, really, I think, that the expectations and the judgment. It's not just that it sucks, it's that you're also being judged for it, and you've got these expectations. So then you go to well, nothing matters, it doesn't matter. But it's well, the judgment does matter, because it gives you an indication of whether you're in the right place or the wrong place, and how you need to sort of get yourself in the right track. It's wow, well, it doesn't matter, but it does matter. You're doing shit, and you should feel shit. That's my analysis on that. Next video that I make will be about something cool like electric flying drones that produce Wi-Fi and clean the air and plant seeds in places where there's famine and make it rain. Some kind of miracle planes that fly around. That would be cool. Solar powered Wi-Fi gliders that wet soil and throw seeds into it. Oh, and that the planes don't need to be manufactured because they grow on trees. I'll invent that. I'll hack CRISPR, the seeds of an oak tree, with my CRISPR gene editing, and produce these biological mechanisms that do that. I'll make biological rockets that go to fucking Mars. You watch it. That's what my next video is going to be about. No, it's not. That was a lie. But it will be funny, probably. No, it'll be fucking hilarious. Definitely. Everything I do is hilarious. You gotta admit. So, thanks for watching.